All right, let's start writing some code. So for our HTML project, we're going to do a biography project. So first things first, go to any place in your computer, on your disk, and open a new folder. Okay, I'll call my folder Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela biography. Okay. After creating my folder, I'll click on it, drag and drop it in my VS Code, my editor, and then I'll maximize. So then I now have to start my entry file, which is index.html. So this one my HTML code. Then start by defining my document. So something that is interesting is that in VS Code there is an inbuilt extension called Emmet that does autofill for most of the common terminologies used in coding. And so for HTML, once I open my angle bracket, it shows me doc type. Exactly, that's what I want. That defines that what I'm going to deal with is an HTML document. It shows the first tag that you put on an HTML document. After that, I'll now move into my parent tag, which is the HTML. My parent element, which is the HTML element. After that, so in the HTML element, we have two child elements. We have first the head element, and then I also have the body element. Okay, so now let me focus on the head element. But before I go there, I need to define a very important attribute, which is the lang, which tells the web what kind of language my document is written in. And for this case, I'll put EN to mean English. And then in the head element, I'm going to have the meta element. So the meta element is interesting. It's not, it's just the opening, just has the opening tags. It does not have the closing tag. And for it, we use it to give the metadata for a document. So the metadata is simply the specifications of our HTML document. Okay, so in the first meta tag, we shall define some attribute called character set, and for that we shall call it UTF-8. So UTF in full is Unicode transformation format. It is the commonest character coding for websites on the World Wide Web. In the next meta tag, we shall define the content. So the content, here we are simply defining the display parameters of our HTML document. And I'll start by defining the width, which will equal to the device width. And then that device, after the device width, I'll give the initial scale. So initial scale is the space that my window, my document is going to take up once it is rendered on the website. So I'll give it an initial scale of 0.1. It's like the initial zooming of 0.1 for my web page. All right. Then after that, I can define another important element, which is the header. Which is the title. The title element simply gives an identity to our HTML document. There are thousands of HTML documents on the internet, on the World Wide Web, and so yours has to be unique so that it can be confused by any others. And so for this, I'll just give it a generic name, maybe biography. Use here maybe of NM, maybe Nelson Mandela. Okay, so I'm done with my header element, which has the metadata and the title of my document. Let me go into the body. So with the body, I'm going to now have the p tags. Which are simply the paragraph tags. Okay, let me put this in lowercase. Something interesting is you notice that when you change the character, when you edit one part of the element, it automatically edits. So that is the work of Emmet still, the extension that I talked about at the beginning of this when I was starting this document. Okay, so now I'm going to have, let me make 4 paragraph elements. Each will contain different types of data. So I'm simply copying and pasting. All right, so let me try to space them, simple spacing, just for beautifying, but it has no really impact in terms of the functionality of my web page. Okay, so for the first one, I'm going to define, I'm going to put in an h1 tag. An h1 tag, that's header 1, level 1 tag. And I'm going to define the title of my document. And I'm going to call it biography. Biography of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela is a very important man in Africa. He's an African hero. Biography of Nelson Mandela. Okay. All right. So with this, I can actually launch this document onto the web by simply clicking here, go live. Once I click go live, it's going to open it on the web on Google Chrome. So it's now listening at this defined port of 505. Okay. So now, let me try to minimize it so that we can have both views at the same time. All right. In this second paragraph tag, I want to bring in the image of Nelson Mandela, and I'll use the image element. And then I'll give it a source attribute, src. So this source attribute is the one that points to the photo that we want to render in the viewport. And for that, I'll go to a project, a place where I had stored the photos. Just copy, come, and paste them in my folder here, and then move them to my biography folder of Nelson Mandela. Okay, I'll just put it in my project. Once I put it here, it cannot be seen here. The folder is right here into my edit. I can see my folder here that has all the photos of Nelson Mandela. Okay, so then I'll now minimize that to go back to our view. And then, so here I'll now just put dot back in my viewport to access the photo. I'll put dot slash, and then I'll move to my photos folder, and then the first image, which is Nelson Mandela image 1. As you can see, it's a very big image taking up the whole viewport. We now need to give it some sizing so that it makes sense. And for that, we shall use another attribute called width. Width, let's set it at 400. Okay, 400 looks better, but still big. Maybe let's do 300. 300 is fair. Maybe what about if we do 280? Sorry, let's go maybe 280. 280 looks fair. Yes, it does. Okay. Let's just scribbling a little bit here. Okay, next we're going to next let's define the length, the height, sorry, the height of the image. Let's maybe give it to 250. And does that look good? Let's give it a 280 too. Looks better. Okay, so we shall continue the sizing later and the beautification as long as you have this image here. Okay, so then now we have his image. In the next paragraph, we are going to now give some details to him. Let's give a header 3 in the next paragraph. Header 3, and here let's talk about his biography. Maybe let's call it brief biography because it's not going to be a very long one. Brief biography. So the brief biography, we want to write about him, something about his achievements and who he is, where he comes from. Yeah, to give him some context for people that may not know him. So for that, I'll use a text tag. So for the sake of saving time, I've already typed out a little bit about him. So I just copy it from my Word document here and come and paste it in my Word tag here. And that should now appear in our report. So this is a brief biography about him. So in the next paragraph elements, let's write about him achievements, and for that I will use an H3 element, and I'll say achievements and honors. So now here we can do other. We're going to do other text elements where we shall import his achievements and honors, but let's put them in paragraph elements too. Maybe do 6. Paragraph 3, 4, 5, 6, and in each I'll put a text element. Excuse me. In each we shall put a text element. Each paragraph shall put a text element. And follows. So I'm really putting in many lines just for beautification purposes, but you don't have to in HTML document. But just to make things easy for your visual, I usually try to put some spacing. All right. Okay. So for the first achievement, I'll write about his presidency. So he was the president of the Republic of South Africa. On May 10, 1994. 1994, yes. His next achievement is that he was the Nobel Peace Prize winner. Peace Prize winner of 1983. The other achievement is that he was the Lenin Peace Prize. He was a Lenin Peace Prize winner. Then he was awarded. Took Peace Prize by Turkey. The achievement. He was the U.S. presidential medal winner of freedom. In fact, he was not a winner. He was awarded medal awardee. It's not a competition. He was awarded. Let me phrase this just to sound more reasonable. He was awarded the US Presidential Medal of Freedom. And then the last achievement, I would say he was awarded Gaddafi. International Prize for Human Rights. Okay. So these are just a few of the achievements of Nelson Mandela. There are so many, but just for the sake of this tutorial, I'll stop here. So shortcut, you can format your document when you're done. You just right click and format it. And by formatting it, it organizes it, kind of creates these kinds of levels where the parent level and the children, the parent element and the children element are at different lines. Kind of makes some sort of indenting to make it neat for reading. As I said, all this spacing, the different line spacing, is just put there for easy reading, just for the coding purposes, for someone who's coding through to for it to look nice for anyone that can read your code. Otherwise, if they did put in spacing, the document will still come out with the data that you've intended, the way it is right here. Okay, so this is generally how you type up an HTML document. I want to give you a short trick. Let's say supposedly, what if I deleted all this? I could as well just start an HTML document by pressing Shift and then number 1 for the exclamation mark, and then pressing Enter. That immediately gives me the sketch of an HTML document with the initial tags that the HTML document should have. For example, here I would just enter now my title, biography, yeah, and then I'll start filling in my stuff in the body elements here, the body element here. Okay, so that was just a trick. Now I'll do Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z to go back to my document. And yeah, so I need here to reload so that I get my information again. So that's it for this tutorial for the HTML. In the next video, we'll be adding JavaScript. We'll be doing CSS. We'll now be styling it to look nicer and including more data to make it closer to a website. So the whole essence of this series is to make a website that has HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript to make it dynamic. The code for this tutorial is going to be on the GitHub, which you'll find below in the description of the video. All right, thank you. See you in the next video.